See, the devil wants you out here confused, lost, running in circles, doing the same thing. The devil wants you going from bed to bed, pillow to post. The devil wants you out here fornicating, feeling that you need love, that you need to jump in the bed with every person that looks at you. The devil wants you out here committing adultery. The devil wants you not to love yourself. The devil wants you to worry and be burdened by the material gains of this world. When you acknowledge that your soul is abundant, that you are wealthy, you won't worry about these material things of the world. See, these worries, they detach you from God. And when you stop and say, God, I trust you, that means that you pull in those promises that God says that he will give you. God will turn around a report about you. See, when you operate within that space of worry, when you allow those burdens of the world to come in and rewrite who you was created to be, that's that moment where, you're going to be out here doing God knows what, because you're doing the work for the devil. When God says, do not worry, that means don't even worry about these dark entities. When God says, do not worry, God said, don't worry about no war. Psalms 91. See, the coercive control is designed to break you. It is designed to break your belief in God. See, we are living in some real dark times right now, y'all, where people don't believe in God. People do not believe that God is real because their throat chakra is blocked. Their voice is hindered. Their voice is restricted. The women are operating out of alignment because their sacral chakra is blocked. Their sacral chakra is being controlled and driven by microorganisms. See, the men are out of alignment because their solar plexus are invaded by these same microorganisms. But it's that moment when you stop and you draw into God and you trust that God will deliver you. God will remove these organisms from you. God will remove the attachments of the enemy, because the enemy loves to attach to God's children. The enemy wants to pull God's children into their space because they know that your databank, the DNA that is inside of you, is divine. It is royal. So if you are invaded with these microscopic organisms, see, that is the attachment of the enemy. Those are those soul ties. Those are those spiritual ties, because a soul tie can be broken. See, they can say that something is tied around you, but God said that I will break those chains. God said that I will break those chains and destroy those chains that want to bind and attach themselves to your soul. See, God owns our soul. That's the replenishment of our energy. That is the source of our water. See, God will fuel us with that everlasting, that water that causes you to never thirst. See, when you pull into the space and into the realm of God, you will never thirst. You will never go hungry, because God will provide for you. God will give you the encouragement that you need. God will guide your steps. God will see you through when everyone wrote you off. See, they wrote you off with their checkbook because they felt that their checkbook can balance an imbalanced situation. But see, when a situation is imbalanced, that's when God will step in and God will judge that space. See, when a situation is in balance, that means that something is taking dominance. And when you're dealing with God's children, the presence of God will always trump anything that is trying to attack it. See, I want you to believe, because it's that moment where you allow these dark entities to come in and cause you to not believe, because that's what it is. When you allow the attacks that is waged against you to cause you to not believe, that's when you allow Satan's kingdom to take dominance. I mean, it doesn't matter how dark it may be. I want you to believe that there will be light, that there will be light at the end of that tunnel, baby. Because guess what? It's darkest before your dawn. See, you may be on the verge of a massive breakthrough, but God said that I need you to trust me, because when you try to do it your way, you don't realize that you are being controlled by Satan. So it's not your way, daughter. It's not your way, son. It's the way of the darkness that rules on this earth. You are moving into their vision for who they expect you to be. But God said we don't expect anything, because God promises to protect us. God promises to lead us. God promises to shower his mercy and his grace, and to open up the portals of wisdom, to teach us the steps necessary to learn to develop our discernment. See, discernment is a gift. Discernment is a gift that is held and imprisoned in your body. It is held and imprisoned by your flesh. See, I do not know what I do or why I do the things that I do, because it is the sin that lives in me. That is the chains. That is the bondage that keeps your discernment locked. It keeps it trapped in that dark tunnel. It doesn't want you to discern anything, because it's that moment where you will wake up and you will start to remove those organisms, those attachments, because you are anchored in the presence of God. See, worrying, it can lead you to a dark space. Worrying can cause you to sustain additional levels of abuse. Worrying can cause your health to start to break down. Worrying can cause your focus to fail. But when you are focused on God, and you know that God is doing a work in you, that God is working on you, that God is rewriting your story, that God has taken you back to the beginning, because you can't worry about you, and you cannot worry about others. See, your heart and your light has been so bright, and you genuinely cared about other people, and you wanted to help people. But God said that you need to help yourself. And by helping yourself, that means you're going to draw closer to me. By helping yourself, you're not going to worry about you, and you're not going to worry about others. By helping yourself, you are going to understand that you can't save nobody, baby. You cannot save anyone, because these leeches, their only purpose there is for you to save them so that they can pull from you. But God said that that's not it. I'm removing the blood-sucking leeches from your life in this season. And that's gonna need a huge level of trust. See, these blood-sucking leeches attached to you shortly after your incarnation, because of the light that's inside of you. These leeches wrote you off before you ever had a chance to start. These blood-sucking leeches said that you will become something that God never ordained for you to become. These blood-sucking leeches, their whole intention was to block you and to trap you into a cage, They want to trap you and lock you and keep you imprisoned. Because if your mind is imprisoned, that means that your vessel is imprisoned. That means that your flesh is wayward. And if your mind is imprisoned and your vessel is imprisoned, your flesh will be wayward because you will be operating roaming out of network. See, when our phones roam, we are out of network. We are separated from our God's pointed system. We don't ever want to be roaming, because when we see our roaming on our phone, that means that you may incur additional charges. You may incur additional charges. That means that you will be charged, and more attacks and more lies will be attached to you. That cage of imprisonment. Now they will have a discovery of a basis as to why you are being imprisoned. See, you don't ever want to be roaming and being out of network. You have to have direction. You have to know where you are going. You have to know why you are going there. And when you trust God, you know that God will pour into you. You know that God does not bring no confusion. You know that God does not put you in a situation that he did not know that you will make it out of. See, I want to encourage you in this season to not incur any additional charges, to make sure that your network is always connected to God, to make sure that you are not roaming out of network. Okay? Because the book of Romans is a reflection of this generation. It's a reflection of our present state of reality. When you draw closer to God, it may appear to be a lonely walk, but that's just an illusion. That's the film that is being viewed from the perception of an outside participant. See, when you draw closer to God, there is no space for lonely. There is no space for fear. There is no space for abandonment. See, when God said that I am canceling the curse of abandonment, that's what he meant. Because when you draw closer to God, how can you be abandoned? When you draw closer to God, how can you be lonely? See, close your ears off. And I mean silence the voice of the enemy. And if you have to silence the voice of the enemy every step of the way, that's what you do. You close your ears off to everything that doesn't draw closer to God. You close your ears off to everything that does not lead you to the image that God had when he created you. See, remember, I told you that you are a masterpiece and you are perfectly shaped and created in the likeness of the Creator. So in doing so, you need to silence the voice of the enemy, because the enemy is mad. See, when you draw closer to God, that means that you are no longer an employee of Satan's kingdom. See, Satan's kingdom, the trickery is to confuse your mind with these microorganisms, to control your body and your steps via telepathic communication. See, we have to pray over this telepathic communication. We have to pray over everything. You have to ask God for discernment, because this telepathic communication, how do you know it's coming from God? How do you know what that voice is coming from? How do you know that's not the devil trying to lead you into another pit? See, God said that I will go into the pit. God said that I will pull you out of the belly of the fish. God said that I will pull you out of that lion's den if you trust me. But you must silence the voice of Satan's kingdom. You must silence that telepathic communication, because that communication is only there via the force of the mind control, the force of the detachment of the vessel, the force of the control of the soul. See, if Satan's kingdom has access to your spirit, if Satan's kingdom rules your flesh, that means that they can tap into your soul. And even though God will never reveal to them the full picture, because then that's going to help them wage their war. That's going to give them extra points to help prosper them along their journey. See, man is evil. And man is so evil because they are fueled by darkness. And when you are fueled by darkness, remember, fuel causes fire. It causes light. When you are fueled by darkness, that means that it will lead you to that fire. See, the flame that's on the inside of us, it cannot be diffused by darkness. It cannot be contained by a film that's over your eyes. But see, God will start to remove that film from your eyes. God will start to take off those layers. Because a lot of times there's so many layers that's covering your eyes. There's so many layers that's wrapped around your mind. There's so many layers that's wrapped around your feet. There is so many layers that's wrapped around your tongue. There are so many layers that's controlling your ears. And they're causing you to be imbalanced. But see, when you look at a scale, the scale always shows that one side is a little bit higher than the other. In this season, you need to ensure that the dominating side is God. That the dominating force that is ruling your being, that is controlling your steps, that is guiding your steps. Because remember, God does not control us. This is why God gives us free will. And the reality that we have free will, that is something that is weaponized against us. That is the weeds and the microorganisms that is planted in our mind to confuse us. Remember, God don't bring no confusion. So if God don't bring no confusion, that means that God never expected us to be controlled by anything other than our ability to activate our free will to draw closer and say, God, I need you because my free will is being attacked. God, I need you because the storm is aiming to sink me. God, I need you because this war that is waged against me is based on lies. God, I need you to show up for me because I don't know what to do. On that note, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and sign off on this video. If you have stuck with me this long, I ask that you hit that like button and that you subscribe to my channel so that you can be updated when I release new content. And yeah, on that note, I'm signing off and I'm going to catch up with you on the next one.